Hey, it's Eve. I just finished performing the second show. So um, when I started this series, I was still picturing my one woman show to be one show, but it has evolved to become a trilogy. So a series of three. Um, I'm calling them art healing performances because they're kind of a combination between like a healing workshop and performance and channel painting. Um, so tonight was the performance slash workshop centered around the rebirth of the Golden Queen. And um, so what I'm learning from these performances is that, one, the stories are still working me. Like the first show was about the moon comes home, that story. And I first wrote that story a few years ago, and it has evolved, but um, I felt like I had lived through that story. It had informed my life, and I guess I kind of thought I was finished with it. I mean, the third story, which I will be performing in 1 week, um, it will be the last of the trilogy. That was the one that felt most fresh, and I still feel like um, I don't even know all of what it means, but I know I will grow into it. But the moon story, I felt like I was kind of done with. And anyway, performing it, I realized it's still working me. Um, in that story, the moon falls to the earth, and the earth is her mother, and she goes kind of, I guess, a dark night of the soul. She faces all the emotions that have really kept her from knowing who she really is, and along with the support of Mother Earth, reminding her and waking her up to the truth, she rises again. And after I performed that last week, it was like I was, through my performance, and part of the performance was also sharing a spoken word poem called Indebted that is dedicated to my mother, and also telling the story of my mother's mother and of my cousin Tina, who died in early death and revealed to me that her death was related to ancestral patterns and the devaluing of women that has gone on. And so so the poem and the story and the narrative around my family, I've had these pieces for a long time, but to actually perform them, and somehow it was like things connected for me at a different level. And I finally saw that the way that I've been thinking of my mother, which was as a martyr, both my parents actually, I wished they had lived in Korea. I wish that they had lived in Korea and lived easier lives, and that I would have lived an easier life. That I wouldn't have had the childhood wounds of feeling rejected and displaced, and I wouldn't have had to watch them suffer, and they would have been able to more fully express their gifts. This was the story I've been telling myself. And it just hit me at a deep level that both my parents came to the States because staying in Korea and living an easier life would have been too small for them. And it is my love for them and the difficulty I have in knowing that they suffered and having watched them suffer that made me think that what they chose was somehow wrong. And that's exactly what they're doing to me. It's like their concern over my path, or the feelings I have them of not being supported by them, was is almost, it's like coming out of their love, because what in their eyes they see that I could live an easier life if I just had a regular job and went on a more mainstream path. And so I just saw the perfect symmetry of this, like, and in seeing that, I also was facing my own it's like I didn't realize that I was not facing my own sadness and disappointment. And it was like I had to really drop into my own truth, like the moon had to do when she dropped into the earth. The past few years, so in 2008 is when I guess had, an awakening where I realized that how everything was connected. I started communicating with the unseen world, and I knew that my mission was to help the world become conscious of the power of women again, the power of the feminine. And then over the since then, I have been getting more and more clear on what that means, like how what my role is in that awakening. And it hasn't been easy. I always thought when I figured out what I was meant to do, that would be it, and it's not quite been like that. And similarly, my other, search for most of my life has been like for the partner. And after my last two relationships where I thought I was going to marry these people and, discovered that was not what I really wanted and what was going to happen, I had come to a place of really thinking, I'm not even sure if I want to be married or if I even believe in lifetime love. It just, starting to think it's not natural. And and it just hit me this week that I actually, that those thoughts are really coming from fear, that my heart actually does still want not only a lifelong partner, but a child, which, I was pretty sure I wanted kids when I was younger, like much younger, like before my 20s. And then from then on, I was never really sure. I wasn't totally set on it. And I just figured, well, when I meet the right person, it'll be clear. But since that hasn't happened, and more time is passing, and then the more people I see, my friends who, have children, I just don't see any room for it in my life, I feel like I can barely take care of myself, like, and then also, all the energy that my work takes up, I just feel like I couldn't also be a mother and be the way that I would want. So I just felt like I'd kind of let that go too, like that's not, I don't even think I want it. And yeah, just realizing actually that all of that is from fear and the past. Like, it's an assumption So because of my fear that I'm not going to be able to take care of a child, or my disappointment probably that I haven't met the right person or whatever, that I've given up, and told myself, been telling myself that I don't really want it, or that, and I didn't realize that I had taken on, that I really have felt defeated. And in facing that, it's like something has opened up where I actually feel more free. It's interesting. It's like facing the actual disappointment, um, rather than it making me feel depressed, it actually makes me feel hopeful. And because it's like my connection to my real desires is waking up. And um, I don't know, I really feel like it was partly connected to my performance. Like I know that anything I do is really for me, but it's it still surprises me the extent of it. It's like when we share something with the world, it really responds and like works us. And so I just feel really grateful. And so, that show, the first show, is about enlightenment. It's about waking up to who you really are. And for me, I felt like it was like waking up to my heart again. Yeah, it's like one line of that story is, um, that the truth of her friend's words gently dissolved the remains of the wall that the moon had built around her heart. And I feel like I've had reflection from friends and support that has, yeah, helped me see the truth that's in my heart. And so tonight's performance is about dissolving the duality within, and embodying my true nature. It's like becoming one with my wildness, the animal in me, the exuberance of the innocent child. Reclaiming that and letting that power move through me. And so I'm excited to see what this week has in store. And I mean, one of the dualities that I realize I've had for a long time is that I thought I could have a family or I could have a successful career. Like I started to see it that way. And again, I think it's because I saw my mom as a martyr, like that if she hadn't gotten married and had kids, she would have expressed herself more fully. And just recently realizing, no, actually, she did express herself, maybe not totally fully, but like it wasn't because she got married and had kids that she didn't. Um, in fact, it was because she got married that she was able to come to the States, which did suit her adventurous personality, and she was able to express her ambitions in a way that she actually wouldn't have been able to if she didn't marry my father. And it hit me for the first time, like, instead that for me to have the life I want, not only are these two things not mutually exclusive, but they actually need one another. Like, if I was just like traveling the world doing my work, I wouldn't be satisfied. And I don't think it would work because I need to be fueled and nourished with love as well, and with intimacy, because it's just as important to me. And it seems so obvious, but I was really seeing them as separate. Like one would take away from the other. So I'm excited for what's coming because I realized I wasn't open to receiving it before. And the duality in myself has been dissolved.